names in the industry are falling like 9 pins. From director Ranjit to actor Siddiq and now possibly actor-turned-politician Mukesh. But will this be restricted to a passing storm? After all, the first set of allegations, like I said, came way back in 2017. The Hema Committee itself had submitted its report to the state government, to the chief minister, well over 5 years ago. And yet, there has been no significant action against any of the big fish, any of the big names in the industry. The question then is, are they being held accountable or are they being shielded? If they are being shielded, then by who and for what purpose? But first, the story of how the Hema Committee report and the fallout of it is felling some rather big-ticket names in the Malayalam film industry, names which no one quite thought will be held accountable for their misdeeds.
Some people are asking directly, if you come with me, I will give chances like that.
When I came out from the toilet, someone suddenly, unexpectedly hugged me from the behind. When I turned, it was Jayasurya.
These must be investigated fairly, quickly, transparently, and those who are guilty should not be spared.
And an MLA, it is proper and it is his moral duty to step away so that free and fair inquiry can be ensured.
All right, so is there systematic abuse which is being covered up? Are there big fish who are being shielded? Let's take you through some big questions which the industry needs to answer, questions which the state government needs to answer. Number one, why was there no action taken by the Kerala government in 5 years since this report, at least the interim one, was tabled before the chief minister back in 2019? There are different forums and associations, AMMA, which is the actors forum, there's a producers forum, there's a technicians forum. None of them have provided a platform to redress the grievances of the survivors. Is dissolution of the executive committee, remember the executive committee of AMMA, the actors body, was headed by superstar Mohanlal. They have resigned, taking moral responsibility, but is that good enough? Because after all, an actors association should fundamentally be interested in making sure that there's a safe environment for leading women actors in the industry. Were top Mollywood stars actually being protected by the Kerala government from any form of punitive action? Will the state government, it's formed a 7-member SIT team, there are 4 women IPS officers in that team, but will they fast-track the investigation, fast-track the criminal trials? Remember, right now 2 complaints have been filed, one against director Ranjit, the other against actor Siddiq. But what about the others who have been named? Will there be police complaints against them? Will there be fast-track criminal trials against them for the abuse of female artists? Let me now open this up to our guests who are joining us. Like I said, this MeToo storm is ripping through the Malayalam film industry, but will this finally ensure that there is accountability, real accountability in the industry, or is this just another passing storm? Karuna Gopal is a member of the BJP, Mohan Kumar Mangalam, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Mr. Binoy Vishwam is the State Secretary of the CPI Kerala State Committee, former Member of Parliament. Beena Paul is a renowned film editor and a member of the Women in Cinema Collective, which has been at the forefront of exposing this rot. Mr. Vishwam, let me start with you first. As somebody who is an alliance partner of the ruling LDF in the state, why has action been so delayed in these cases? Why did the state government take such a long time to constitute a special task force headed by an ADG with 7 IPS officers? Why did it take so long for this kind of criminal action, criminal complaints to be registered against the likes of a Ranjit or a Siddiq? And even now, many of the survivors don't believe that the big fish, the bigger names, will actually face justice.
Jacob, I can only appreciate your anxiety about the delay in taking action. I will request you to understand one fact, that the only state government in the country is the government of Kerala that have initiated a high-level committee to look into the grievances and complaints raised by the women folk in the cinema industry. The WCC, the Women Collective in Cinema, is a very welcome step, of which our party, the Communist Party of India, is really proud of. And we salute those women from the very beginning, that we are with them. Because being a left government, I believe that the Kerala government has taken the first step in the country to see that these issues are properly addressed. That's how the Hema Committee came into being. It's a high-level committee led by a retired judge. You can ask a question, it's a genuine question, why this delay? My answer is very humble and simple. Better to be late than never. In many parts of the country, the situation is that a never. In Kerala, you're arguing that there's a delay, there's a late. The late is a truth, but still we are on the move.
But Mr. Vishwam, if I can ask you, the Hema Committee was formed in November 2017. At that time, there was a famous case of a leading actor who had reportedly hired a gang to beat up one of the leading ladies. That case, that very case, the first case, has still not seen any justice. So what hope do the other survivors have?
Jacob, I can tell you the mood in Kerala, the people, sentiments in Kerala, and the level of understanding of the Kerala society as such. It's a left-oriented state. That state and the social psyche is in favor of the women's rights, and all this have helped the emergence of the WCC, which is the Women Collective in Cinema, and all the initiatives taken by them was widely supported by the political parties even. And the government of Kerala has also came to the scene by appointing the Hema Committee. Then, as you rightly mentioned here, a committee of the police officers was also constituted. The 7-member committee is having 4 members, the women IPS officers. That also is a matter to be considered. I am very optimistic.
Let me ask Beena Paul, who's a renowned film editor, somebody who's been one of the leading members of the Women in Cinema Collective, which has been at the forefront of exposing the rot. Beena Paul, are you hopeful that this STF that's now been formed, and many are saying it's been very delayed, it's been delayed by 5 years before this STF has been formed, that they will actually be able to move with the investigations quickly? Right now, 2 FIRs have been filed, but I believe many more survivors are coming forth with their stories and with what happened to them.
No, we certainly believe that there will be a change in the Malayalam film industry. For all the women who have had the courage to speak up, for all of the whole of WCC that has been working hard towards this. It is for change that this is happening.
But why do you believe that this time will be different? We've seen similar allegations come up in the past. The first case I referred to that was in 2017 when a leading actor at that time was beaten up by a hired for rent a gang. There were actors who were barred for some time. Some of them went to jail, but eventually, whether it is AMMA or any of the other associations, they went back to their old ways. So as someone who has been at the forefront of this fight, why do you believe that this time will be different? That accountability will be fixed this time?
Well, we think 2-3 reasons. One is the existence of a collective like the Women in Cinema Collective. Secondly, certainly the fact that the Hema Committee report, which was set up by the government itself to look into the running of the industry, has made some very serious observations of the nature of the industry. This is a government set up body, and I think the government has to act and will act on all this.
So, Mohan Kumaramangalam, the contention from the state government, from the CPIM, and you heard Mr. Vishwam as well a moment ago, is that they were protecting the privacy of the individuals concerned. They were not the ones who withheld the report. The report was withheld because of a stay given by the High Court. Somebody had approached the High Court saying that there will be irreparable damage caused to some of the leading lights of the industry if the report were to be made public. The court granted a stay. It was that which delayed the report. There was no delay from the end of the state government. And as soon as the chief minister and the state government were apprised of the report, they have formed now this 7-member police team, an STF, to look into the allegations that various survivors are coming forth with.
Zaka, as far as the arguments around the court are concerned, they're fairly valid. But as far as the chief minister being apprised and him having in his powers to set up an SIT, he could have done this as soon as he got the report in 2019. Nothing prevented him from going into actually investigating the accusations that were made in that report. And from what I know, the report did not only take statements from victims, but actually went ahead and interviewed other members to find corroborating evidence. So it went far beyond just representation of the allegations that were made. So there was a lot of material erased rather in that report that would have allowed the chief minister to immediately start investigating those accusations. So it's fine to say that, he couldn't actually release the report because of the stay in the High Court, but nothing prevented him from starting the investigation. And the Congress party, as an opposition, has continuously been on the streets demanding an SIT from the very first day. It's only a couple of days ago that SIT has finally been constituted. I will agree with the gentleman from the Kerala CPI that yes, the similar kind of accusations were made in Bollywood about 7 years ago, and it didn't amount to much. In fact, these associations, even in Bollywood, there was Sinta, which had a couple of sittings, took some statements, but really resulted in almost no action. At least here, the state government has taken action, but as someone who's not from the state of Kerala, but I'm a great admirer of the culture of Kerala, which is largely matriarchal, probably one of the most matriarchal societies in our country. It is a little shocking to me that we have this situation in that state as well. And it is also shocking to me that a government in that state can take so long to take action against the perpetrators.
So let me ask Karuna Gopal, this is again the contention from some people both in the industry and in the state as well, that look, at least they are taking action in the Malayalam film industry. There have been similar allegations in the Hindi film industry, in Tamil, in Telugu. They don't even bother investigating this. At least in the Malayalam film industry, there is an attempt, howsoever delayed it might be, at least an attempt to try and clean up the rot within the industry.
Yeah, Zaka, the whole unfolding of what's the muck in the film industry, I sometimes think that everybody is saying that it is the Kerala government that has become the torchbearer or perhaps a beacon light of hope for other states. But I would squarely put the success to WCC. But for that particular women cinema collective, nothing would have moved anywhere. If you see people like Chinmayi, buried in Tamil Nadu, and I heard many Bollywood stars complaining about their own respective states and their own film associations, that's because they were crying horse and they were lone voices. But here there is a collective of 18 people, perhaps, who were very powerful. And they went and then somehow convinced, you can say nudged or coerced or whatever you call the government, and the government set up the Justice Hema Committee. And that led to the other things. And I'm sure that this is going to set a precedent and others will have to learn a lesson, because the cesspool of this ugly and dark things have emanated. It's unbelievable to even read the report where they talk about criminal intimidation, sexual molestation, blackmail. I mean, there's so many things there. And the top of it all is misogyny and the power setup, as someone mentioned it. So, I mean, the whole thing is such a cesspool of the ugly and dark, and it's been exposed now.
So,
and I think,
Mr. Vishwan, AMMA as the Artists Association had immense power. They even had power which many would say were extra constitutional powers to decide, who will be part of the industry, who will be banned from the industry. There are a number of artists who are informally banned by AMMA. Now that this executive committee has resigned, should it just stick to this moral responsibility thing? Because at the end of the day, the one thing that they were asking for, and if you're for example, if you're a private company, if you're Network 18, I work for Network 18, every private company in this country has to have, as per Vishaka guidelines, an internal complaints committee where any woman employee, if she feels threatened by sexual harassment at the workplace, by a non-level playing field at the workplace, she then can go and complain to the ICC, the Internal Complaints Committee. The film industry so far has been refusing to constitute an ICC, even going to the extent, Mr. Vishwam, of saying that AMMA is not an employer, AMMA is merely an association.
Yes, in fact,
No,
the recommendation
my question to Mr. Binoy Vishwam, yeah.
You spoke about the might of the AMMA office bearers. However mighty they may be, now Kerala has proven that the women's strength is much more stronger than what they have in the hierarchical framework of the AMMA. And that is why now they are holding the play in the film industry. I cannot deny the fact that there is no ICC in the Malayalam film industry. In that case, in no states such a committee is there. It is high time that there should be an internal complaints committee in the film industry, in Malayalam, in Telugu, in Hindi, in Tamil, everywhere. Because the women in the film industry are molested, are ill-treated, are exploited, and to what extent we cannot explain it now, but to a great extent, their womanhood, their honor, self-respect, all are questioned by the authoritarianism of the authorities, who are mainly the men folk in the film industry. The huge money, the patriarchal concepts, all these are there. And in this condition, I can only proudly say that Kerala has shown the way again to constitute a committee. However, delayed it may be, the committee has constituted.
Okay.
What the committee told the government has been heard by the government, and now there is an inquiry going on by the police at the highest level, and now the women in the industry in Malayalam are bold enough for the encouragements and support of society to stand up and say what they are facing in this.
So Bina Paul, I still don't know why AMMA will not take not just moral responsibility, but I believe there has to be criminal culpability for it, because they enabled this culture. There were complaints that were forwarded to AMMA, the executive committee, and they did not do anything about it. Simply by stepping down and saying that we take moral responsibility, has the issue been settled, or do you believe now is the time for a generational transition to happen in the bodies that speak for Malayalam artists? Do you believe that this is the time for a new generation, which is perhaps far more sensitive to issues like women's rights and a level playing field for women, the fact that women should have an internal complaints committee? They are far more sensitive to such issues, for them to take over the reins of deciding bodies and influential bodies like AMMA? Or do you think it's going to be business as usual, the same old boys club as it has existed for a number of decades now, is going to continue once this storm passes over?
Well, we don't know. This is for AMMA as an organization to think of it and see what the kind of the changes are required, changes that can be brought. I don't think we can comment on this. It is for each organization to look within itself, to see where the weaknesses are, whether it is age, whether it is ways of thinking. And I think this is the response that we think will create change, and we do hope. But I mean, it is really for AMMA, for the AMMA to decide and go. We cannot comment on that.
So one of the persons against whom this allegation has come forth, and more than one survivor has accused him of sexual harassment, is a CPIM MLA by name Mukesh. He is also a leading actor in the Malayalam film industry. Mohan Kumar Mangalam, simply by virtue of the fact that he's a ruling party MLA, a public representative, don't you think he should step down pending inquiry? Right now, there is no formal police complaint against Mukesh, but if it becomes an FIR, should he not step down? Because clearly the playing field there is skewed. in favor of the accused and against the person who has made the allegation?
Well, yes. I mean, I think it should step down, morally speaking, and there's definitely, given that he's part of the government, that the playing field would be skewed against him. But Zaka, I haven't seen that happen in any case ever before. Most politicians actually don't step down, even though there are allegations made against them, until they're convicted of those allegations. And that is across the board, across all parties, I would say. Very few people would resign on moral grounds these days. And he's an elected member of the assembly, so you'd have to have a by-election if he does that. I agree with you, though. In principle, I'm completely in agreement with you that he should. And it also raises the question that if he's been named, are there more names behind them, and are these the kind of names that the ruling party was trying to hide by delaying the report? Redaction of victims' names makes sense to protect them, but redaction or removal of names, people who are named in that report, is it to protect them? I mean, like I said, 4 years ago, the CM should have launched an investigation immediately. There is absolutely no reason when he got that report that he didn't do that. It may be that there are many more uncomfortable names of his own party that are going to come out.
Karna Gopal, we have seen the horrific rape and murder of a young doctor in Kolkata. We have seen in Ratnagiri, just in the last couple of days, a nursing practitioner traveling in an auto, raped by the auto driver. The auto driver, the accused, is still absconding. And now, of course, this entire storm that's swirling around the Malayalam film industry. Has it come to such a pass in this country that, we are today deciding our reaction to this basis where it's happening, which party is ruling, what is the religion of the victim, what is the religion of the accused persons? Can't we have a bipartisan political consensus in this country that any crime against a woman, any sexual assault against a woman, irrespective of political affiliations, there has to be a far graver laws to deal with it, and B, more importantly, the implementation of those laws have to be in a time-bound fashion, there have to be fast-track courts, and justice has to be delivered in a time-bound fashion. Can't we agree on such a basic principle?
Yeah, ideally we should. I mean, it's a utopian situation that we're talking about. India has to move towards that. Sometimes, Zaka, when we actually deeply analyze, we don't need more laws. We have as many laws as the country needs, but implementation is a problem. I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's take the police force, for instance. Now, several cases have been reported where a woman who's raped goes to the police station, lodges a complaint, and she gets raped in that case. So the policing itself is dark. And in some cases, the courts have not delivered justice. Like, for instance, they have allowed a man who's a serial killer. I mean, he raped many girls, and then the court let him off, saying that he has a future. Every criminal has a future. And that man goes straight and rapes another 6-year-old. So courts have not also delivered justice. If you see even the Shakti Mills case in Mumbai, the Sessions Court, looking at the gravity of the situation and the amount of injuries inflicted on the victim in Shakti Mills case, they have awarded a death sentence to everyone. But you know what happened? It went to the High Court, and then they just called it off. They kind of commuted it to a life sentence. So even, milords are also not doing what they're supposed to do. So it's a big problem. And public apathy. Have you seen many cases where people are actually being molested on the streets? People just walk by, maybe take videos. So, this whole thing of the entire ecosystem doesn't give any kind of confidence at all. We don't need more laws. If you go to the website of Ministry of Home Affairs, the kind of things that are being done, apps are being developed, and, a lot of things are being done. Money is dispersed, but the implementation is again a big question.
Mr. Vishwam, shouldn't someone like Mr. Mukesh, who is a public representative, step down pending inquiry against him? There are more than one survivor who have come out and made allegations against him. Should he not do this basic thing that his continuance as an elected representative will prejudice the investigation? Therefore, let him step down, let the investigation give him a clean sheet, and then come back.
As a person representing left politics, I believe that the left has a political duty, a moral duty to be different from that of the right. The right, when I say right, it includes both the BJP and the Congress. Congress and the BJP speaks a lot about women's rights. Their conviction in their mind is not for the women. They are for the patriarchal value systems. They have proven it. In their states where they rule, it is very clear to everybody that the women are facing the same plight. But no governments led by the BJP or the Congress is turning their face to save these women in the film industry in those states. In Kerala, it happened. Why? Kerala has a left-leaning social setup. The psyche of Kerala is like that. In that change, Kerala's left has played a role.
Okay, Mohan wants to quickly come in, and then I'll give the final word to Beena Paul.
Zarka, I don't want to come in as a response to the Kerala CPIM person, because I am not here to indulge in whataboutery and pat ourselves on the back about what great a job we're doing. And I'm talking about us as a country. Now, just to add to what Karunaji was saying, the problem is it's a twofold problem. One, the process is the punishment. If you go legal, it takes forever in our country to get justice. Yeah. Decades will go by. And second is the informal punishment, which I think even some members of the women's collective right now in Kerala would be facing, which is you are kind of ostracized from the industry. This is the case in Bombay, and I think many of their members also have faced a sort of informal ban on giving them any particular work in the industry. So both these things have to be fought, and men have a large part to play in ensuring this changes.
So Beena Paul, I'll give you the final word. I have to wrap up after this. Beena Paul, one part of it is, of course, dealing with the sexual harassment cases. That's the most grave part of the story that has come to the fore right now. But once this current phase moves on and the news cycle moves on, do you believe the demands of the Women in Cinema Collective, which includes better working conditions, the constitution of internal complaints committee within the film bodies, whether it is even things like better pay and pay parity between men and women artists, things like this will be addressed at all by the industry, or will this just be brushed under the carpet?
Well, we hope so. It's not easy. These are not easy black and white kind of situations. A lot of it has happened many years ago. Evidence may not be there. There may be a lot of memory lapses. It's many things. So I think certainly the setting up of this special task force to look into it is a very, very important step. It means that we are not ignoring what they have said. That is what is the most important thing. Now, whether those investigations are going to reach somewhere, we cannot say. That is not something anybody can say. But what we can say is, this is one response.
All right.
But we are looking for other responses as well.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests. We hope that this is just a start. We hope that this is just the first chapter where first accountability is fixed for this kind of brazen behavior by some of these artists who've been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years, people who think that they can get away with this kind of behavior against women artists. They need to be held to account, howsoever big they may be as an industry exponent. Now, I also want to go across to someone who has straddled these multiple worlds, the film industry, the world of politics, also former member of the National Commission for Women. Khushbu Sundar is now joining me. Thank you very much, ma'am, for speaking with us. First things first, you put out a very heartfelt note today, I think, on Twitter, talking about how, in light of whatever we are seeing in the Malayalam film industry, what we've seen in Kolkata, you had a conversation with your daughters, with your young daughters, about all that is happening in the country. And the response that they gave you almost touched you, and it sort of, in a way, showed you for your perhaps lack of understanding that they were better informed and they better understood what was going on as far as women were concerned, whether it's in the industry, whether it is this young girl in Kolkata. As a person who's been in the film industry for many, many years now, what is happening around you? How would you react to it? What was your first sense when you saw the swirl of allegations that have come forth against some very leading names in the Malayalam film industry?
Taka, it's very heartbreaking. I mean, you see, we are talking about women moving forward. We are talking about women taking the world by storm. We are talking about Nari Shakti. We are talking about a girl child taking, making us feel proud of what she is achieving. You look at Sunita Williams, you feel so proud for a woman like her. You look at our own women in our film, I mean, not only in films, but all over the country. But when these kind of incidents happen, it sets you thinking that are we doing the right thing by bringing up the boys, or are we failing as women somewhere and getting a very simple message to the men saying that we are not ready to any of these abuse that you have to offer? And that is when with my daughters who are 24 and 21, when I spoke to them, I felt so proud of them because they have a mind of their own and they were very clear. In fact, I thought that I was wrong somewhere in my thinking, and they said, "Amma, this is what is the right way to think. Probably you are wrong." And yes, when I look back, when I fall back and see that probably my couple of reactions, it was absolutely wrong. So I thank my girls that in today's times these girls are so clear, so intelligent, and I think it's very, very important for us to understand how are we going to make sure that the men behave themselves or learn to give respect to women.
In the Malayalam film industry, it does give very grave details of the level of sexual harassment that some women actors have had to go through. Some resignations have happened. Director Ranjit has resigned. Actor Siddiq has resigned. All of this is, of course, part of creating a safe working environment for women in the film industry. Do you think that this is just a passing storm and that, 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line, once the media narrative moves on, the media moves on from the story to some other story which dominates the news cycle, then this story will also be forgotten and, the men in the industry will go back to how they have always been, thinking that, the laws don't apply to them and that they can have this uneven playing field for women and that they can do as they please with women artists? Or do you feel that this time something different is happening, that finally accountability will be fixed, that powerful men in the industry will be held to account for bad behavior?
I hope it's not a passing storm. I really hope. I keep my fingers crossed and I pray that it's not a passing storm, because we saw what happened with Harry Weinstein. He's jailed, but after that, everything is quiet. Nobody is reacting. Nobody is talking about it. Today, we are talking about Malayalam film industry. And that's it. We are going to keep quiet. Tomorrow, there's another problem which is going to come up, and then we are going to move on. It's women being abused or women being given these kind of offers of sexual favors in return for work does not exist in film industry alone. It exists in every place where women are working, whether it is IT, whether it is medical, whether it is hospitality, or even probably in politics. It's everywhere. Everywhere women are subjected to this kind of torture. So I think, Hema Commission alone is not going to solve the problem. We need this kind of committee. We need a body where everybody can easily go and file a complaint, and there should be investigating officers who investigate these cases well against the accused, and if they are found guilty, they need to be punished. And the punishment should be, I've always said, the punishment for the accused should be, which sets an example for others to even think before abusing a woman.
The other thing that has also come to light, we've seen just in the past few days, the horrific crime that happened in Kolkata to a young doctor. We've seen in Maharashtra and Ratnagiri, again, a nursing practitioner being raped and the accused is absconding. We're, of course, now seeing whatever is happening in the Malayalam film industry. And it's come to such a stage where today we are deciding our response to crimes against women, our response to crimes as horrific as rape, depending on, which party is ruling in which state. Can we not agree that something as brutal as a crime against a woman should have to be seen from a completely non-political lens, from a completely non-partisan lens. A crime against a woman is a crime against a woman, no matter whether it has happened in a BJP ruled state or a TMC ruled state or a CPIM ruled state.
Absolutely. I agree to that 100%. When a woman in this country is raped, the daughter of this soil is raped, the daughter of my nation, daughter of this country is raped. Bharat ki beti ka rape hota hai. It's not about which community, which caste, which political party you belong to, or whether there's a Hindu boy who raped a Muslim girl or there is a Muslim boy who raped a Hindu girl. A girl is raped, period. And I do not want anybody to start saying that, oh, this happened in BJP ruled state. Why were you quiet? This happened in Congress ruled state, so there was a noise. This happened in any other ruled state, and there's a noise. No, I think we need to stop this and saying that this is when a woman is raped, a woman is raped. And this is nothing that even if we belong to different political parties, we need to be proud of it. We have to hang our heads in shame and say that we are not able to protect a woman. But what happened in Kolkata is an absolute failure of Mamata Banerjee, not as a politician, but as a woman, I would say. As an absolute shame as to what happened in Kolkata, because the kind of drama Mamata Banerjee had played there. I mean, I have never seen it has happened in your governing body, and you are the minister for law. You are the minister for even the health, and you go on the street protesting against who? Are you protesting against your own government? So I think even the politicians around our country from different political parties need to understand that they need to stop playing politics or go over this over drama kind of an effect just to gain some brownie points.
All right, Khushbu, Sundar, as always, for not holding back your punches. Thank you very much for joining us and very evocatively putting forth your point of view, both as an actor, as a politician and a former member of the National Commission for Women. We're going to take a quick break here on the program. On the other side, Telegram founder Pavel Durov's detention in Paris over charges of unfiltered criminal content on his social media platform, as well as non-cooperation with the authorities. That has sparked off a massive debate over free speech on social media. The likes of Elon Musk have come out and openly supported Pavel Durov. It also brings to fore the question of the use of such platforms in the battle of narratives, particularly around the Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, Pavel Durov will be produced in a court of law in Paris at some point later tonight, and that court will have to take cognizance of these charges and whether he will continue to remain in incarceration in Paris or whether he can move on from the country. We'll do a deep dive on that right on the other side of this quick break.